Today I'm working on a truck that is used by the sewer department. It's basically like a very large pressure washer on the back of a truck. The operator complained that there was a large oil leak on the truck, especially on the bed, and you can see this stuff is all over the place. So I had to take the cover off, and it looks like it's dripping down from the back of the engine. So I'm going to get up there and see what the leak is all about. Once I got onto the platform, I started looking around to see where this oil leak was coming from. And this engine I've never worked on before. It's called a Hatz diesel engine. It's a German-made engine. Clearly, I could see all this oil was actually coming out from where the injector sits. So I'm thinking possibly an injector O-ring has failed and it's just pouring out of the injector. Like I said, this is a Hatz diesel. Hatz. Never even heard of it or even worked on one. Doesn't look like it's a very common engine, of course. Probably more popular in Europe or in other parts of the world. But here in the US, I didn't really see a lot of vendors selling these engines or even supplying parts for this. So I'm going to start removing this diesel injector and see what's going on there. It's actually kind of nice working on this platform with this engine exposed like this because you could actually reach everything. So it made it really, really nice to work on. And the diesel engine isn't very complicated either. Here I'm trying to work my way out with this injector without dropping the hold down clamp. So what I ended up doing is just pulling the hold down clamp out of the way so that it doesn't fall, and especially this little special washer that it has on it too, which I'll show you in just a bit. But trying to get this hold down out, it was a little bit tight because there was really no room right there, but I was able to sneak it out. Well, now that we got the injector out, here's the O-ring that looks to be leaking. Now, initially I didn't really see a problem with it, but I think it just failed over time and started bypassing oil. Like I said, it looks intact, but it's leaking oil for a reason, so we're gonna have to change this out and let's start looking for parts. I tried to source some O-rings that we had in stock. These are not the right size. They were too thick and too big, and also they weren't meant for the type of pressure that we were working with. Then I also had these square O-rings as well. I tried to use some ones from a cat that we have laying around as well, but that didn't work out either. These were just way too small and weren't going to work. So it looks like we're going to have a special injector O-ring on this thing. After doing a little bit of research, there wasn't a lot of vendors here in the US, and I'll show you a map of all the vendors that sell Hatz diesel engine parts. So here is the locations of all the Hatz diesel service providers, and in California there's only 4, and in US there's a total of 18 with 4 in Canada. After calling around, because I work for a city, we have to work on kind of this bidding situation, and we don't have accounts for any of these vendors. So what I did is I started to research a little bit about the engine and also the injector, and what I found out was this is actually a Bosch injector, but it's specific to a Hatz diesel engine. So what I tried to do is search for other engines that shared this injector, and unfortunately that didn't work out either. So I tried to get a custom ordered O-ring as well. Trying to get a custom O-ring proved to be a waste of time because I wasn't able to get a O-ring with the same dimension and the same size for my particular application. The one I was going to be choosing was a Buna N O-ring, which is more of an oil resistant. They do make several different ones, but unfortunately none of the dimensions were able to match the original O-ring for this injector. So I began doing a little bit more research on the Hatz diesel website, and I was actually able to find a diagram of the whole injection system on that engine, or that particular engine, and I found some part numbers. Now, originally I was using the 0445 number, but I found that the 429 number actually worked. Once I plugged in the 429 number, I ended up popping up another website called LS Engineers, and it ended up giving me other part numbers as well. Of course, we have the dreaded out of stock or back order displayed right there on the website, so I couldn't find it from them. But after plugging in some more numbers on Google, I ended up finding this other distributor called Melton Industries, and from what it looks like, they actually have it in stock as well. The number that I plugged in was a CR12-18, and you could also see that the price is significantly lower than the other website. Working for a government agency, people think that we have more options in finding certain parts and get better discounts, when actually it's exactly the opposite. We have more difficulty finding parts. Even if we could find them on eBay, any individual could stick out their wallet, pay it with a credit card, and get it shipped to their house or place of residence. But with the city, you have to work with your contracted vendors. And unfortunately, Melton Industries isn't one of our contracted vendors. So what we need to do is contact one of our vendors, have them contact Melton Industries, order it from us, and then obviously they're going to charge us a fee on top of the normal price from Melton Industries. But that's basically the only way I'm going to be able to order this part. So I guess I'm going to have to wait a little bit in order for them to order it for us.